We got to do the got it. Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
That's what we say.
All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, I can't believe it's April already. It's the first Sunday of the month, which means it's time for none other than Better Living Through Television. And it's Chef Del Sroufe with his monthly show. And it's called Chef Del's Kitchen. And today he's going to be doing latkes because Passover is right around the corner. Please welcome Chef Del to the show. So good to see you, my friend.
Yay! Welcome. Thank you. Hello, everybody. How are y'all?
Yeah. Well, so you like that, Better Living Through Television?
I love the name, right? It's. I think we're going to get that copyrighted so I can use that.
Okay, please take it.
Thank you. So, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited because people always think that latkes need to be fried,
Yeah, it's a thing, right? But I made these at the request of a friend who had them for Passover every year. And here's the thing: you think that they can't be good without the oil. She served them to her standard American diet father, who was in his 80s. He said they were the best latkes he's ever had. Now, maybe he was just gussing me up or something like that, but there you go. And they're good. I like them. I think the thing that you have to realize whenever you go oil-free, whenever you go from fried to baked, whatever, there are things you want to keep in mind. So if you overcook these, the crust gets kind of chewy, and that's not good. And if you undercook them, the potatoes aren't done inside. So you kind of got to go, just be careful with them and maybe do small samples that you can taste and see what we're doing. By the way, I'm doing a double batch here because my videographer, and I thought I was going to have a studio audience today, but they didn't show up. And that's okay. So me and the videographer are going to eat well this afternoon. Don't be jealous. But anyway, so don't overbake them. I'm going to do them two ways for you. The recipe that you'll see, and don't forget, there's a link to the recipe there, and I think on the YouTube channel, right? Chef AJ?
Yep, I'm going to put everything in the show notes in the chat so they'll be able to get the recipe before the end of the show.
So you can get the recipe and try it at home. The recipe shows you how to bake them. All right, you turn that on. And we're going to do that too for most of them, but I want to show you how to pan cook them. We won't call it pan frying. Cook them in a pan. If you have a good nonstick pan, it is doable, right? Now, I'm going to tell you something with these nonstick pans. I just bought this one because I've been filming a lot of videos, and I have an announcement about that, if that's all right with AJ. I've been filming a lot of videos this past month, and I wanted a good nonstick pan to do some things with. And none of them are perfect, right? So, for example, I was filming a video making quinoa flatbread the other day, and after the fourth or fifth pancake, they started to stick. Flatbread, they started to stick. And I was like, so I went and scrubbed it out, blah, blah, blah. But one of the tricks is if you have to stop and scrub it out, you've got to go back and reheat it until it's good and hot. And I'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead and start to warm it up here so you can see what that looks like. You want that pan good and hot. And if you even have to turn the pan down, it's a temperamental thing. You might be happier just baking, but I do want to show you this so that you can see it. But what we're going to start with is our potatoes. Now, you'll notice I've got 3 pounds of potatoes here. Notice I don't peel my potatoes. I did rinse them off well. There's so much nutrition in that skin, and I buy organic potatoes, so I'm not worried about all the pesticides or any of that stuff. But we want to grate them, or what they call it, mince them. Grate them is what we're really technically doing with them. And that's going to take me a minute, so it'll be kind of noisy for just a minute. I'm usually lazy about even having to clean my food processor. I normally do this by hand, but I'm doing such a large batch, I didn't want to have to make you guys wait for that. The advantage of doing them in the food processor, though, I think you get your goal with these potatoes to get them somewhat crispy is to get as much water out of the potatoes as possible. So I think the food processor does that better than doing them by hand. Big batches. There's some, and yeah, if you were here, I'd be feeding you some latkes today.
No, that would be so much fun. Are you going to serve them with applesauce?
I am making my homemade fried apples, which could turn into applesauce. So yeah, my mom always served them with homemade. And she did more of a mashed potato cake. She didn't do the latkes strictly. And hers, of course, were fried and blah blah blah. But she always served them with fried apples.
That sounds really good, actually.
It's delicious. And then
Delicious.
we're making our own homemade cauliflower sour cream. Right. And I kind of did that in part for my videographer can't have soy. And I wanted her to be able to taste this because I'm always trying to show her soy-free options for healthy foods.
I'm allergic to soy too, so I'm very excited about this.
You know what? And I heard you say this the other day. Millet are one of those things that you and I both love. Cauliflower is one of my magic foods. I make sauces and mayonnaise and cream sauces and all kinds of things like that out of it because it's versatile like that. It takes on it's like soy. It takes on the flavor of whatever you do. So it's a good one. And we'll talk about a couple of secrets and tips for that when we get over there.
Which Del, is that the Breville?
No, this is the Cuisinart.
Oh, okay. Is it
Brand new. My other one, it still works, but you have to hold my hand on the top of it, which for the videos that I was making doesn't look great.
Is it 14 cup or 16 cup?
Almost there, people. And then there's stage 2. So these, these take a little bit of. We're going to use that. I'm going to use those.
I don't know if you heard me. Somebody's asking the size of your food processor.
Oh, no. I think it's a 10 or 12 cup.
Oh, wow. It just looks so big. Hey, Jeffrey's watching. Want to give a shout out?
Baby brother. I think he said he was going to. So having seen that's my baby brother, everybody. He's one of the few members of my family that will actually eat my cooking.
Aw, that's great.
Yeah. And he will help me remember all of these stories that we talk about our mom and such. He was there for a lot of it. We were very close growing up. We always have been close, but especially as kids. All right, so we've got our potatoes grated. Set this aside for a minute. And set this aside for a minute. We need that back. And you want to squeeze out the excess liquid from the potatoes. Again, that's a key thing. Otherwise, they never really get any kind of crispness to them. And another thing that I think is good to do, and I'll show you that in a minute, is you want to make sure that you rough them up a little bit. You want to stir them around, and there's something about that makes the potatoes get a little crustier. Okay. There, and then one more batch. I've got to do onions. And thank you all for your patience. I didn't want to do this ahead because I just want you to see how this is done. If this is something that's new for you. Usually I have everything ready to go, but I thought it's easy. This is going to be a quick class, so it's not like it's going to take hours and hours of watching. So we're going to do the same thing with our onions because we want to get the excess liquid out of them as well. Loving my Cuisinart, y'all. I hardly ever buy these new. I'm always at the thrift store buying whatever I can get my hands on.
You ever soak your onion?
No, I've heard about soaking just to cut back on the cherry.
Yeah, because sometimes they're really powerful.
Well, here's my thing about onions: is a lot of the powerful onions. It really, to me, is about the age of the onions, how long they've been sitting on the shelf. It makes a big difference in that. So when I'm shopping for them, it may not be worth it to go to get the on sale onions because they might be older and marked down. You might want to go for the newer looking ones or whatever, the ones that are just put on the shelf. Because the longer they sit, that's one of those things that happens. But I tell you what, as someone who was cooking with onions, and many of you that know that recipes all start with onions. I sort of gotten used to it. They don't really bother me very much. So I put these into a little cloth. You can see how much of that liquid's coming out of there?
Wow.
And I used to, by the way, for those of you that don't want to use a lot of any salt, I used to salt them, and that would be a big part of this, but you really don't need to. If you get a good cloth and get your workout in like I am right now. So can I share a bit of news, AJ?
Yes, please.
I have been working on for the past month, well, for the past 30 years, really, but for the past month, an online cooking course. And it is in production right now, and it's going to be available through the CNS Kitchen probably by the 1st of May. It's a self-paced course for the beginner, for someone who's either new to whole food plant-based cooking or new to cooking as well. So if you don't know how to boil water, I'm going to show you how. Right? We're just going to assume that we're starting from zero. And I'm so excited about it. I've been teaching 25 years and cooking for 34 years now. And so I've got a lot of tips that I want to share. And it's going to be fun and it'll be great. Self-paced, you'll do it at your own pace, but we'll have live office hours every week so you can ask questions. We'll have a chat room, a community feed like we do in CNS Kitchen. So anytime you have questions, you can ask.
Well, that sounds great. Once you get the link, let me know. I'll put it in all the show notes from all the previous shows you did.
Oh, cool. Yay. So it's going to be, I'm excited. I love teaching. You know how much I love doing this. So
Yeah, and you're coming back on May 2nd, which is about when you're saying you're rolling it out anyway, so we can promote it again then.
oh, yeah.
That's perfect timing. Jeffrey says, you're the best cook. Sherry says, I would eat your cooking any day of the week. And Sylvia says, I love Chef Dell's recipes.
See my ego just floating above my head right now.
Cool.
In the bowl, you'll notice some starch there in the bottom of the bowl. Don't get rid of that. And once you drain off that excess water, keep the starch. That's good stuff. All right. And then there is our potatoes. Well, Michelle, turn on the other camera so you can see those.
There you go.
Okay.
Del, is it possible for a person to use those pre-frozen shredded potatoes that have nothing but potatoes in them?
Yeah, if you can find the ones, I think so. If you can find the ones that are oil-free, yeah.
Yeah, they have them at Sprouts.
And all you want to do is you're going to add a little bit of flour. I add flour and almond meal. And what I like about the almond meal is it gives it a little bit of a browning. It gives you some of that brownness that we want. So whole wheat pastry flour, almond meal, baking powder, sea salt, and black pepper. And you're good to go. So if anybody tries this, I'd love to hear how you do. You can reach out to me on my website or even through Chef AJ. All right, so we've got our onion and our potatoes all ready to go. And we're adding to that your recipe 1/3 cup of flour, and then 3 tablespoons double almond flour. Our baking powder, if you are in the middle of celebrating Passover, during to celebrate Passover, and you're doing unleavened, you can leave the baking powder out. And then, of course, some sea salt. That's also optional if you aren't using it. And I like my black pepper. So here's the part where we're going to do a little bit of work. We are going to mix this up, rough up those potatoes a little bit. You turn my stove back on here, so I think we're ready to cook. My fancy new stove top. I've been using, and I did this from these videos I'm doing, I've been using a camper's cooktop for all these years for cooking demos and for catering and such. Well, now you can get it as fancy as you want them. This one is the cheaper model. The most expensive one I love. I wanted it because, it was like $280. I'm like, I couldn't justify that. But this one's beautiful. It has the sleek appearance and looks good on camera. So happy about that. All right, mix this up really well because you don't want to have a big chunk of almond flour where you don't want it. You want to make sure that the flour and everything gets all around all the potatoes. Michelle, I wish you were over here. I'd have you scoop potatoes, scoop latkes. You're busy making sure we stay on camera.
Be cool if you could put the bowl this way.
Oh, yeah. See, Michelle's also my director. you all can see what's going on camera. It reminds me of that. I need a director all the time,
Don't we all?
right? Does Charles ever work as your director, or he just?
We don't know. I don't like being told what to do by him.
Right, I get it. All right, that is that. So what we're gonna do next is just scoop those. You notice I tasted those. Scoop those onto our baking sheet. Like that. These are they're so good. Yesterday I made a test batch because I hadn't made them for 5 years. I made a test batch and then I turned the oven off enough in the oven and they dried out. So again, that's that overcooking. They're edible, but they're just a little chewier, not quite so appealing as they would have been otherwise. Are you still getting me both on camera?
Mhm.
Yay. Again, this is a double batch, so it looks like a lot more than your batch is going to make at home. I got that. Woo! Step. All right, I'll do this. You go do this later. I don't, and here's one of those things where you don't want to pre-make these without cooking them because the potatoes start to turn pretty quickly. So you want to make sure that you do these when you're ready to make the magic happen. Okay. And then we're just going to press these down into our little cake.
Patty cake, patty cake.
Baker's man. All right, and then into the oven they go. So pretty quick, right? Not really a long drawn out process. Now you can make, like you can make your sour cream ahead. You can make your do you have your clock? Can you set that? Give me 15 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Yep.
And then we show you how just this what the stove top looks like. I'm gonna make them a little bigger since I've got plenty of stuff to go here.
You're good at rolling those balls.
Right? You know I got experience. By the way, test your stove, the top for hotness. You'll see the water there should not evaporate right away. If it does, it's not hot enough. So if it beads up, you're in good shape. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And then these, once you get that stove hot enough, you know what you can overdo it. You want to turn that stove down. And I'm still getting used to this. Chill. And then if you have leftovers, once you cook them, just get them in an airtight container right away because again, they keep drying out and doing that thing. We'll leave that for later. Clean up really quickly. There we go. Well, that's part one. And so while that, I think we're done our food processor now. See if I can you unplug it?
Oh my God.
She unplugged everything.
It's
All right, thank you so much.
mhm.
Move it from here. And then we'll move our big boy over. So I've already steamed the cauliflower for the sour cream and just because you don't need to watch that happen, right? And the thing about it is I like steaming it better than boiling my cauliflower because I want control over how much water goes into the cauliflower. I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be too watery for my sour cream. I want some thickness. So I have water to add, but I steam them so to keep all the nutrients that way. And I added my lemon juice. So this is 3 ingredients or 2 ingredients. It's cauliflower, a little bit of lemon juice or vinegar or a combination if you like, and that's about it. And then you can adjust the vinegar to taste. Like sour cream isn't the most sour of creams I've ever noticed. It's not like a couple of others. So it's a mild, but it's adjustable. I mean, that's the fun thing about making your own is you get to decide what it looks like in the end. All right.
Got a few questions in the chat for you, Del. Jeffrey says, do you serve this as an entree? What would be a good side dish? Perhaps a salad?
Well, yeah, you can certainly have it with a salad. I'm eating it with some fried apples, Jeffrey. So wish you were here.
Does he live near you?
No, he lives in Bloomington, Indiana, about 4-hour drive.
Oh. And one of the viewers is asking, is there a way to make these flour free?
You could use you could use them with garbanzo flour. Is that acceptable?
Well, I mean, I guess technically if you grind it, it's technically a flour, but could you make it like with unground oats or something, or that wouldn't work?
What you might want to do is, if you don't want to use any kind of flour or thickener, is you might want to mash part of your potatoes.
Ah, clever. And do you know the name of the frying pan you're using?
No. It's called Blue Standard, I think. I'll double check that in a minute. You can see a bit of browning there on top. And not too bad on the sticking. I'm not endorsing this little booger yet because like I said it wasn't well behaved the other day after about 4 or 5 batches, but maybe 4 or 5 batches is a lot.
Are you frozen? Guys, is he frozen? I can't continue the demo. I hope he comes back. I see him.
I should have used a smaller bowl for this, but this looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit more. Use a small. My bowl's too big. I could have got a triple batch in this size bowl, so that it'll really catch in there and do its thing. But it's got the creamy texture, so it's going to work. All right, that should do the job. Now I'll spoon this out of here so you guys can see what it looks like. This is the least number of dishes I've had to do for a class in months, Michelle. What's our secret today?
Simplicity.
I'm loving this. So I had to learn how to do videography, Chef AJ.
And how was that for you?
Stressful, but I'm so glad that I'm getting to learn a new skill. And I love learning. And I'm getting better at it. And they like my work so far. Our director of marketing hasn't kicked me out yet, so. I've done about 30 videos and I have 4 or 5 more to go for this course. And yeah, but man, it's tedious. I tell you the part that I don't like is this is why I love having Michelle here, is when it's just me, I've got to be in charge of the camera, the food prep, the setup and everything, right? And that part's stressful because you have to have a list, because one day, for example, I forgot to change out the memory card and it ran out of memory right in the middle of cooking, so I had to start all over. There's your sour cream or cauliflower sour cream. Let's put in there. So we'll set that aside. Let's go back to our latkes on the stovetop. And unfortunately, the only way to really know if these are tender is to eat one. Yeah. So you're going to have to sacrifice one for the club. But on that low temperature, and you could put a lid on this, by the way, that would help keep more of the heat in. But I want you guys to be able to see what's happening. Another minute or two and they're great. Those are delicious.
Have you ever frozen them and then reheated them at a later time?
No, I keep hearing all the scary things about freezing potatoes and stuff, so I never do.
What kind of scary things?
They just don't freeze well. They get watery and they change their texture. I don't know, I could be making it up. You know, those are just about right. It takes a minute for that inside of the potato to get done. So be patient. Make sure you get that heat low enough that it'll still cook. So you get your pan really hot and turn it back down when you add your potatoes in there, so that it cooks without burning the outside first. Does that make sense?
Yep. How long does the sour cream last in the refrigerator once you make it?
5 or 6 days. If you cover it and keep your temperature low enough in your refrigerator, below 40 degrees, below 41 degrees. It'll be trying on baked potatoes too, by the way. It's gonna be delicious. You're gonna like that. You're gonna like it just like I'm liking it right now. All right, I'm gonna pull those off because I want to start the fried apples because we'll be ready to eat. And again, I'm going to turn the heat back up. Bigger stove here. I'm going to taste the sour cream in action for you. Wait till I taste the fried apples with you. So fried apples, and you can see here, I did slice them ahead of time, but then I put them in acidulated water. So I added water to cover and a couple tablespoons of lemon juice because I didn't want to have I didn't want you to have to watch me slicing onions or apples, which took about 10 to 12 minutes. So did that ahead of time. And then I got some cinnamon, hint of salt, and then I made the date paste. So in your recipe, it's got dates and water, and you take those and you blend them to a puree, and that becomes your date paste or your sweetener. But that's what I have here. I already did that ahead of time for you. And just go ahead and add that in at any time to the pan and let it do its thing. And then just everything into the pan. Now again, this is 6 apples. I think it's 6 apples, regular batch. Your apples. And the director says move the pan back over this way or this way, right there. Thank you, Michelle. And a pinch of salt if you're using it. Lemon juice, since I soak them in lemon water, I'm not going to add any more lemon juice, especially since I'm using a Granny Smith apple. I'll use a tart apple, and then we get it just sweet enough to do its job. And then what we're going to let this do, and the sugar and the dates will start pulling out the liquid from the apples pretty quickly. And down it comes. Now, so that you have a sugar-free fried apple, right? My mama made them with butter. My version is butter-free, and I think they're just delicious. Anything with cooked apple, it's almost like having a apple pie dessert with dinner, right? And then
2 minutes.
2 minutes on our oven version. All right, we're moving along. So this is a really simple, straightforward kind of meal, and one that you can have at any time. And by the way, you know, this could be a dessert. And if you make an ice cream, some of this served on top of some vegan ice cream would be delicious. You can either, make a granola or just some toasted oats on top with dried and nuts and dried fruits and all kinds of things that you could do with this to make it into a healthy dessert. You'd be very happy.
Have you ever used sweet potatoes?
Yeah, they're delicious. I was going to suggest it. Thank you for reminding me. I've seen them with sweet potatoes. I've seen them with other root vegetables too, for just a change of flavor, like your parsnip.
Ooh, parsnip carrot latke.
It'll be delicious, right? You know, a whole bunch of flavor happening there. So parsnips and rutabaga and celery root and all of them. I'm old fashioned guy. I love my potatoes, and but yeah, have fun with them and make them however you want. See how that, you can already see it's starting to release that liquid there. So Chef AJ and I were talking just before you guys came on about what we're going to do for next month. And she suggested Mother's Day for the first Sunday of the month. I was suggesting Cinco de Mayo. So I think we're going to merge the two and do a Cinco de Mayo Mother's Day celebration. What do you think?
I think that's great. Cinco de Mayo for mothers.
I think I'm going to do a Cinco de Mayo brunch.
How about Cinco de Mother? Yeah.
Oh boy. What do you think? A Cinco de Mayo brunch? Can we do that?
I think that's fantastic.
I think that'll be fun.
Now, Easter's next week. Are you celebrating, and what are you making for your Easter meal?
No, I don't celebrate it. I'm probably going to go see my dad. They will celebrate it. Now they have the traditional. Now my mom was the experimental cook. That's my mom calling right now. My mom was the experimental cook, and she would make all kinds of different things, different kinds of roasts and stuff like that. But I think I can remember a couple of Easters in my aunt's house where it was scalloped potatoes and ham, and they always had mac and cheese. They couldn't seem to help her. But if I were going to cook an Easter celebration for me, what I cook? I'm not sure. I think I have to think about it. Hey Jay, you perplexed me.
Maybe a quiche. Who knows? I don't do Easter. So I don't know what people. Here's a funny comment. Cinco de Mayo Mother's Day title, not show average Mother's Day. Very clever.
Oh, very good.
Yep. And Sabine says, Del, did you dump the lemon water, or was it just a small amount?
Did I do what?
Did you dump the lemon water?
Yeah, I did. It was just it was probably like a half gallon of water covering the apple, and just enough to cover the apples, and 2 tablespoons of lemon. Someone's going to suggest that I could have drank that, huh? They're right, actually. We get a little apple lemon water would not have been bad. So what's our celebration called? Cinco de Mama?
Not show average Mother's Day. Not show average Mother's Day.
Not show average Mother's Day. All right. Cinco de Mayo meets mom. My mom and I never went out to. We didn't eat much. Jeffrey, did we eat Mexican with mom ever? I don't think so. So you're just going to cook these until they're tender, and that's up to you what level of tender you want. But see, you can see all that liquid coming out of the apples. And as it does, it concentrates the flavor. That's what you want. The only person that will not like this is the person who still eats a lot of sugar,
Mm,
right? Because you know when you go from eating sugar to not eating sugar, nothing tastes sweet enough. But if you've been like staying away from sugar as I have, it's delicious. And that's pretty much just about right. So let's stir some up and show you what the final product looks like. Now it's up to you. Now, in my world, I would take them. And you know, one thing I did forget, AJ, is I always made these for my friend. I cooked and caramelized onions. So you just slice up some onions and then cook them down until they're brown. And you don't need to add sugar, you don't need to add oil. You just add a little bit of water as needed when they start to stick. Oh, happiness is this. Sour cream on top, and if I was a good chef, I'd have some green onions for a garnish. And that, my friend, is Latkes. With fried apples and cauliflower sour cream.
nice. And you know, fried apples, like you say, can be used for so many different things.
Apple crisp, make a big batch. The rest of it goes into apple crisp easily. As a breakfast kind of thing, serve on top of your granola. Right. I just did a video a few days ago with a pumpkin pie parfait. We make a vanilla cream, and it had dates and plant milk and a pinch of cinnamon, a little of lemon, a little bit of almond butter, and it was delicious. So imagine your granola, your apples, a little bit of the cream sauce on top of that. You got a great breakfast bowl, which is all the bowls are all the rage still. So yeah, it has a lot of uses, and just as a treat, just by itself.
Yeah. Randy says they were selling your book on the Holistic Holiday at Sea Cruise.
Nice.
Yeah.
But still a little hot seller.
Which one is the best? You have like 7 books, right? Something like that.
Well, sort of. I have 4 where I'm the primary author. So Forks Over Knives, Better Than Vegan, China Study Quick and Easy, and then the China Study Family Cookbook. I wrote the recipes for the Forks Over Knives family plan for one of their other cookbooks. And then I've written recipes for some other cookbooks, but where I wasn't the lead author. Writing my 5th lead author cookbook coming out later this year. But the Forks Over Knives is still the bestseller. It sells, it's insane. I think it sells something like 400 copies a week still.
That's incredible.
No, that's 10 years later. So
That's
just
amazing.
those people at Forks Over Knives know what they're doing, AJ.
Wow. That's amazing. 400 copies a week of a
And
book.
the China City Quick and Easy is probably the one up next, because it's such a relatable cookbook. They are quick and easy recipes, and kind of straightforward, so it sells pretty well too.
That is so cool.
I know.
I love it.
You gotta come home and make this, I hope.
These were quick and easy recipes today.
They are. I think maybe it's me just getting older or something like that. I don't need too much complication in my cooking. I like it to be simple and straightforward, and that's just where I'm heading.
That's neat. Well, we cannot wait to have you back next month for our Not Your Average Mother's Day, Cinco de Mayo Mother's Day fusion brunch. I can't wait to see what you're going to create for that.
I'm working on it already in my head.
And roll out your new program. So make sure you get me those links, because I can not only add it to what's called the show notes of the show you're doing, but every time you've been on, I can just put it in there as well.
Perfect. I will make that happen. Thank you.
Well, thank you. What do you got planned for the rest of your day?
I have more videos to shoot. So I have what they call non-recipe videos of boiling water and some different techniques I need to shoot. So I'll probably work on that. And then
so there are people you think that really don't know how to boil water, huh?
I've met them, yes.
I met a 44-year-old woman once, and she did not know how to microwave a baked potato. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I've met these people in class before. I've had them in live classes where I wouldn't even let them touch a knife.
Well, so then what are they eating? Just processed food, huh?
Yeah, even the vegans. I mean, I have a very good friend of mine who I started the Central Ohio Vegetarian Society with, and she is a good cook, and she cooks a lot. She's taken a lot of my classes. But her boyfriend for all these years is always processed meats and the whole food salad bar or food bar. And vegan, sure, but healthy.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're out there.
Doesn't it just get expensive though for people that just eat out all the time?
Oh yeah. Oh my God, yeah. It adds up very quickly. And I think, you know what? We're not yet seeing on the market a whole lot of healthy options. Although, Dr. Greger has one, a meal kit or something. So there's a few out there, but for the most part, you still gotta learn how to cook.
Yeah, I wonder, I mean, I wonder when people really stop doing it. It's not that hard, I mean.
We've been marketed, we've had the non-cooking convenience thing marketed to us ever since Swanson's put out that first frozen dinner. It's been in a growth field ever since. And now everything is supposed to be convenience. Now, if you don't like to cook, they'll send you the ingredients to cook a meal with. You're going to pay more for that. I don't get it, and people don't seem to be able to see it, but here we are.
Yeah, you don't use an Instant Pot much, do you, Del?
No, matter of fact, I'm giving one to my brother. I have two, and I'm giving one to my brother. But no, I tend to still, although I do like it in the summer. If I'm going to cook beans in the summer, it's nice not to heat up the whole kitchen because I don't have air conditioning. So it's nice not to have to heat up the whole house. Yeah.
Yeah. What about an air fryer? Do you use an air fryer?
I use my air fryer more for my oven fried tofu and things like that. Yeah, I love the air fryer.
Yeah, I wonder if you could do these latkes in an air fryer.
You could, but you want to turn your temperature down from whatever the recipe says, turn it down 25 degrees and let them cook a little bit longer. So that, remember, we want that inside to get done too, right? For sure.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, thanks, Del. It's always good spending a Sunday with you.
It's fun.
Yeah. And tell us, the course that you're rolling out in May, when you say it's self-directed. So talk a little bit about it. You've got some time. Like, how's it going to work?
So you will, once you purchase the course, you'll be given login access, and then you'll start right there at the introduction and a welcome video with yours truly. And then we'll tell you what to expect in the course and then lead you right into your first lessons. We're starting off with, so it's not about cooking right away. We start off with talking about things like meal planning and what to do in the grocery store, how to manage the grocery shopping and all of those things. And then we work through, so you go from lesson to lesson. You'll start with lesson 1, and you'll do that and finish that. It'll guide you to the next lesson and start on the next lesson and read through that or watch the videos or do whatever the homework assignment there. It's not a graded kind of thing. It's pretty much you on your own. But we encourage you to get into, we have a community feed there in Mighty Network, so you can go in there and talk to others, see what kinds of issues they're having with their cooking, ask questions there, or you can ask questions of me. Like I said, I'll have a weekly what we call office hours where you can log in and then ask any cooking questions that you might have. And they're very popular in other cooking courses like it. And then you just work your way through the course at your pace. The bonus, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this yet, the bonus that we're giving you, last year at CNS, I taught 40 some classes, and those are all recorded, 180 recipes. And we are going to make those available to people who purchase this course. So you'll have the course, you'll have all the lessons, all the recipes from the course, some of which were in other classes, and then all those other classes to go on from there. And then you take as long as you want, so if you want to go back over a lesson, or if you want to skip certain lessons, not everybody needs to know how to boil water, but if you do, you do.
Yeah. Jeffrey wants to know, are you doing a video on mode en place? I think he means mise en place.
Mise en place. Yeah, we are doing mise en place videos, and we spend some time on mise en place. And part of the reason why I spend more time on it than others might is there are people who say, I hate to cook. I don't like cooking. I don't want to spend any more time than I have to. Well, with the proper organization of your cooking, with the proper organization of your meal planning and of your shopping, you can make this as simple. Like my recipes, as you see here, are not long drawn out affairs. You can make this as simple as you want to do it. So we talk a little bit about batch cooking, so that if you want to get everything done in a couple of hours once a week, you can, right? But we help you see how to do that. My goal is to not only make you confident as a cook, but to make you like it a little bit, to like spending some time in the kitchen and getting to know your kitchen and learning to make it your friend instead of your enemy. But let's face it, we're going to be cooking for ourselves. It's not going to change for a while if you eat this way. If you eat a whole food plant-based lifestyle and you're not using oil or sugar or salt, you're cooking, right? So why not learn to like the process along the way? So my goal is to make it as easy as possible by sharing all the tips that I brought with me over the 34 years that I've been cooking in kitchens.
Nice. I think mise en place is the biggest secret. It makes it so much easier.
I'm reading a book. Started reading a book recently about mise en place as it applies to all of your life.
Oh, I love it. Mise en place. What's the title of the book?
I'll send it to you. I forget, but it really is about how by ordering your life, and planning and setting a few things in motion ahead of time, that everything gets easier. And I love it. And it's definitely true in the kitchen, as you know. As you see me and you guys see me, I do one of our wellness courses where I do one of the cooking segments. And with my mise en place setup, I do 11 recipes in about an hour. It's doable, right? It's doable. Between that and the batch cooking mentality, it's totally doable. But I can take my cheese sauce and have 4 or 5 dishes out of it in less than 30 minutes.
Amazing. Amazing. There's a question if you know how to make a spinach pie. I don't know what a spinach pie is.
Well, there's fataya, which is the Greek spinach pie, which is my favorite.
Oh, nice.
And I saw a recipe recently. The hard part is when you're using phyllo dough, they slather each layer with butter, right, to get it flaky. I did see an oil-free version lately, and I don't think I saved it because I'm like, I don't believe it. But I use, instead of the phyllo dough, when I want to make a pie, I'll make a pizza crust, like a whole grain pizza crust, and use that instead. And because the filling is the best part, right? And I do the same thing with my quiche. I'll kind of do like a galette, which is a free-form pie. And I'll put my quiche filling inside that and wrap the dough over it and bake it. And so I've got kind of a variation on the quiche, but it's still the same, and it's crust and it's filling.
You make a great pizza out of polenta. You served it to me once, and it had pesto and it had potatoes on it. That was extraordinary.
And caramelized onions on the top. That's in the Forks Over Nice cookbook.
Yeah, that is really amazing.
Yeah, I used to do pizza night every Friday night in my house when I was younger. The whole building could smell it, and they would come running for pizza night.
That's something. That's something. Well, I can't wait for you to come back because you're more fun than a barrel of tofu.
I am more fun than a barrel of tofu. Don't you forget it.
Yeah, and I love that. That's going to be our tagline: better living through television. I always thought when you worked at the Wellness Forum, they should have called it the Delness Forum.
I know. Well, are you the one that started that years ago?
Yeah, I just give you credit where credit is due.
I know. It's the Delness Forum.
He makes everything delicious.
Now, here's our finished oven baked pie or latkes. There you go.
See if we can see.
Notice those crispy brown edges. Those are perfect.
I feel like saying crispy on the outside, tender on the inside.
Like me.
Thank you. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. This is great. Well, thanks, Del. Can't wait for
you as always.
Yep. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time for none other than Dr. John McDougall. He's going to be discussing the work of Dr. Walter Kempner, and he's going to be having a guest named